find yourself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on. So you're off in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
Say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down it towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. It's now Pike going to have a go at Werrell. Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
On to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot have fun. Yeah, and it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching the Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Standing out from the crowd is a challenge. You have the passion, courage, and ambition to do something extraordinary. You have an awesome story to tell and a wonderful vision to share with the world. At Eddie Videos, we take that vision and turn it into reality so you can be heard above the rest. You need something different, and we give you the ultimate advantage. We can help you transform your ideas, images, and clips into a professional video that brings your message to life and sets a new bar for excellence. Visuals, voiceovers, editing, animations, whatever you need, we've got it all. If you're a new business looking to make your mark or an experienced company searching for something new and amazing, we're here to help. Trust us to take your video to amazing levels of awesomeness.
Does he have it? Medeiros is going to get it. They're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry! Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and children of all ages. It is the JPB Clio Cup Season 3, Round 8 from Cicuit Zolder. It is one of the longer circuits we have been to, if not the longest circuit we have been to this season. 3.95 kilometers in length, 10 corners altogether. It is the alternate Belgium Grand Prix. It is a wonderful circuit for some drivers. Others do not like it as much. But let's bring you up to date with the standings. In the standings, currently at the moment, it is David Ayres out in front on 346 points. Paul Godden in second on 305 with Dan Lewis on 288, Andy Littler 283, Roger Moore on 283, and Edward Parfitt on 276. Now, my son gave me great pleasure today, telling me, Dad, there's only 29 points between me and second. And I said, yes, son, there is. I said, but now you've just got to keep it on track. Below that, we've got Gary Walsh, Chris Dixon, Ollie Ricks, Alan Toon, Jack Andrews, Mick Barry, and then the bottom three have not turned up this season. In the team championships, JPB is still out in front on 564 with Work Card by result on 490, Spiral by result on 322, and Sim Stickers on 305. In the pro standings at the moment, Pete Newman out in front on 353 with Adam Dalmon on 325. And then you've got John McHutchison in third on 281. Then Cole Hardy, Brian Holmes, Carl Jacklett, Adam McNally, Lee Deemer, Craig Jones, Charles Kellerman, and then Michael Seal, Mark Draper, Deck Craver, Stuart Gibbons, Lee Bowden, Ches Rizzo, and of course we know Sam Smith has not made an appearance this season. In the teams, Result X Pure Sims, Hardy and Newman out in front on 623. Then you got Fix Auto Aberdare on 473. Then you got the Result Boys at 432. Next Gen Racing on 325. Safeguard by Result on 324. Fix Auto on 311. Results Clothing Red on 228 with Blade Designs on 181. SRL on 103. And of course, iRace at the bottom there as well. You've listened to me ramble and babble on long enough. We are into qualifying. Let's bring Mr. Zach Sweeney into the booth and have a discussion with this young man. Good evening, Mr. Sweeney. To you, sir. How are you?
I'm all right. A little bit croaky, but it's not stopped me from smashing out some good old Clios tonight. 3 races, of course, 20 minutes in length each. A lot of fun as always. And to be fair, a brilliant circuit in the form of Cicuit Zolder. You sort of spoke about either you love it or you hate it. I've always loved Zolder. First time I drove it was an ACC. It was in a Ferrari, and it was in torrential rain, but I still loved it. I honestly think it's a really good circuit. It flows really nicely. Obviously, the chicanes are a little bit of a pain in the backside sometimes if you get them wrong, especially the second one no, the first one technically, the first proper one, the one with the massive curbs.
Yeah.
That can launch you. That's always a little bit tricky. But in these Clios, I think we're definitely in for a lot of fun because Cicuit Zolder, it's tight, it's twisty, it's a club-style circuit. Essentially, it's not a Grand Prix circuit by any means, and I think it is going to be a perfect match for these Clios. We've got some prime overtaking opportunities, some flowing corners, some nice undulation, just a nice characteristics that we've got of Zolder. So yeah, bring it on.
Yeah, so we are into this little bit. As I say, I find Cicuit Zolder, now some people I speak to are like, no, I don't like it. Right, partly because of the Klein chicane, and then you've got the chicane out of turn 7. I won't try and pronounce the name because I'm not Dutch. And then you've got, of course, turn 10 and 11 through to Jackie Itbot, and that's, you know, that's not as tight as the one coming off the butte over at 6, right? You know, you've got a little bit more of a flexibility with Jackie Itbot. It's quite a flowing corner at times, depending on how much you want to kind of deal with it. We'll have a look here on board with Carl Hardy, currently at the moment, who is following Pete Newman. We're going to see the first times coming on the board. Now, this is the chicane at 10. This is the Jackie Hitbox chicane. Now, what I mean by it kind of reminds me of the chicane at Silverstone in the old international layout, the one near the end, coming off through Woodcote. It's kind of not a tight chicane like the one out of Klein is, or the one through turn 6 at the end there, Zach. It's, I don't know, I think the long bar in the middle, I think, makes it quite a flowing chicane. It doesn't make it a left-right really quickly. It's a kind of a more, I don't know, I know where I'm going, I just can't think of the words.
I kind of see what you mean.
Do you get what I mean?
I think...
Look, if you look at this one, if you look at Klein, look. So we're on our way up there now.
Oh, Klein is horrible. I hate this one. Because it's you either get it right or you get it wrong, right? We'll obviously ride on board. We'll see. Because the way you've got to do it is you've either got to launch yourself over the curbs or avoid them completely. As you can see here, they ride them quite nicely. They turn in through the left and they jump over. That wasn't too bad.
But
the moment you get it wrong and you make the second into more of a corner, and then you get into this one, the Villeneuve chicane. I like this one. I don't mind this one because the curbs are really forgiving. They've got little dips in the middle. You can basically straight line the corner. It works really well. But yeah, Klein, if you get it wrong, like you get it really wrong. Like your car, you go up, you nosedive down, you basically face planting the track again. But what I like, as you say about the Jackie X one, is the right-hander afterwards. You can take quite fast, like it's quite a flowing corner. You essentially just see it as a separate corner in itself. It's not, you know, usually with chicanes, they're the same radius, both the right and the left. But the left going in, you know, you can use quite a lot of the curb, as we'll see here. And then the right, you're just accelerating out of because, I don't know, for whatever reason, it just increases, it flows outwards, and then it puts you onto this back straight. It just works. So yeah, obviously we've got three chicanes here at Zolder, and they're all different in their own ways, which I don't mind. I quite like it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. That's what I was trying to explain about Jackie Hitpot. The right-hander coming out was quite a flowing corner. It wasn't a tight chicane, as some may put it, and I think that's you know, one of the interesting things. Charles Kellerman's just put himself up into 8th on a 1:47.386, and then Roger Morton's bumped himself into 6th. Mark Draper's gone into 5th. Now, one of the things I've been hearing this week, and it seems to be a general consensus amongst these guys as well, off tracks. The off tracks at Zolder, now they have come out and said if we survive during the off tracks, it'll be great, because the off tracks here at certain chicanes are very, very tight, and they've got to be careful, Zach. And I think that's been causing some of these drivers a bit of an issue during this week's testing, during this week's build up. They've had a little bit of trouble with off tracks, and slowdowns can be ripe on them chicanes if you don't get them right.
Yes, it does help to get the track right, I suppose. But yeah, Zolder, it's unforgiving. You know, any corner here will chew up and spit you out if you get it wrong. A lot of them are simple, but that's when you nail them. That's when you're actually driving well. The moment you have a lapse in judgment, or you make a mistake, or a driver sends the move up to the inside, or anything like that, you're in trouble, right? It's so easy to lock a wheel. It's so easy to run a little bit wide. You know, we talk about this right-hander being quite nice. You run too wide on the exit there, and you're in the grass. I've seen so many incidents. I even had a video come up on my Snapchat memories the other day of an incident that happened at this track at that chicane on the exit. We had like 5 cars going left, right, all over the place, purely because one person ran wide at that corner. Then obviously turn 1, again, if you run wide on the exit. Turn 2, it's very difficult to lock the fronts because you're turning and braking at the same time. Turn 3, it's easy to run wide because you're trying to take it flat out, but sometimes you can't. 4, it's fast, but essentially, you know, you're turning 90 degrees, you're just doing it a lot quicker than you'd expect. It's so easy to run wide. We've already spoken about the hazards at Klein, because you launch yourself over that curb and either you nail it and the car sticks, or you don't and you face plant the pavement, or what also happens is that you bottle it, you miss the curbs, and you lose a good 7/10 of a second on one lap time purely because you've not wanted to go for the curbs. So yeah, even just in the first half of the lap alone, let alone even the second half, it's tough. And I think that's one of the reasons it's both loved and hated. It's like a Bathurst in that regard.
Agreed. And the thing is, I don't actually mind Bathurst. You know, the track itself can deliver some great racing. We saw that with the UK Sim Racers last week, right? I don't care what anybody says. That MX5 League is the best one ever in iRacing. The racing is amazing. The competitiveness is amazing. And if you haven't watched Bathurst, please go back and watch it. When you've got 6 drivers finishing within 6/10 of each other in race 4, it's also on TikTok as well. You can just search JPB Broadcasting on TikTok and also in YouTube Shorts, so you can go back and have a look. Me and Zach had the pleasure of doing that, and I've got to be honest, it was one of it was the best ending I've ever watched. And you know, the Clios that we've had this season, some of the racing from the Clios has been epic as well. We've had some really good close battles, we've had some really good fights. Pete Newman at the moment on a 144.852, you know, he's out in front as well. Him and Dalmont have been jockeying. John McCutcheon, new into the Clios, never driven a Clio before in his life, and he's also done a great job. Now, we have got some drivers not on times at the moment. Mick Barry, Edward here on screen, Craig Jones, Alan Toon and Ollie Ricks. None of them have got times on the board at the moment, and that is not going to do for Jack Andrews and Andy Littler it will, but for Edward Parfitt sitting 5th in the championship, not too far behind the behind second place, it's not good at doing well there. He's got to get a time, and he hasn't. Unfortunately for him there as well, did not get a time on the board, and I've got a funny feeling off tracks may have had something to do with that. Here is the grid. It is Pete Newman out in front with Adam Dalmont 2nd, John McCutcheon 3rd, Mark Draper and Carl Hardy are 4th and 5th. Then we go into the AMs of Roger Morton, Dan Lewis and David Ayres. Then we've got Carl Jacklett, Paul Godden, Charles Kellerman, Lee Deemer. And then we go back to the AMs again, Gary Walsh, Jack Andrews, Andy Littler, Craig Jones, Edward Parfitt, Sir Alan Toon, and then behind that we've got Mick Barry and Ollie Ricks. So there's a couple with no times on the board. They're going to have a bit of a job here, and they're going to have to try and fight their way through. And it's going to be a very, very interesting way of doing it. So let's see what happens there as well. Phil, good evening to you. And Austin Draper, good evening. Austin was in really early, mind you, as well. He said, evening, James and Swede Puppy.
Yes, mate. Appreciate it. Evening to you too, of course. I do like how it is still a thing.
I think, do you know what? At the end of the day, as I've said to you before, like, I think it's great that, you know, you're connecting with the community, Zach, and making an impact on people, that they do give you a nickname. And yeah, Sween Puppy, you know, I think that actually come from Handsome Stew, who started it off. But let's get this race going, and we'll have more of a conversation about that a little bit later on. But the lights are going to be on now. You can see the grid in front of us, and it is Pete Newman who has got out in front as the rest of the cars go flying through. Currently at the moment, all 20 of them racing down into turn 1. Newman's under pressure from Dalmont instantly on that lap 1, turn 1 corner. John McCutcheon is a spinner at the back. That's Andy Littler. Andy Littler and Gary Walsh, I think, have had a coming together with Mick Barry. And I think Andy Littler is off the side of the circuit, and so is Gary Walsh. Pete Newman out in front with John McHutchison here as well, doing an absolute stellar job. These front three opening up about 7 tenths over Carl Hardy, but it's all going down in that mid-pack, Zach. And as we can have a look here, what happened to Andy Littler as he goes into this corner? Was it Mick Barry who outbroke himself? No, he did it all on his own. Andy Littler and Gary Walsh all on their own there, Zach, but Pete Newman's out in front.
Yeah, great start, and well, no surprise it's Newman and Dalmont leading the way, but again, even less of a surprise is they've got competition. McHutchison, Hardy, Morton all up there raring to go to give them a little bit of a challenge, but fundamentally Newman and Dalmont in a world of their own, fighting of course for the championship. Dalmont took a bit of a hit last week, and he did say that it could be the end, it could be the turning point. We said, nah mate, keep it going, keep pushing as hard as you can, because there's still time. We've still got, well, we're on round 8, so we've got 2 more races of round 8, and then of course 6, so 7 more races after this one in order to keep going. All right, I should say, you've also got a spinner in the background, that
Edward
Parfitt.
Yeah, Edward Parfitt's gone off the side of the circuit. Good evening, Jason Morris. Thank you so much for joining us, dear sir. Much appreciated for you jumping in here as well. Oh, there's going to be contact on his outside, and I can tell you that as well. He has come across the nose of someone. Yep. That kind of is unfortunate, son. I'm not one to blame you for things, but that was all on you. Adam Dalmont here as well. As you can see, we've got Pete Newman in front of us currently at the moment. These guys racing off around that exit of turn 3, that fast-flowing corner, Zach, turn 2 and turn 3. And then we come into this a little bit more flowy corner of turn 4 before we go down into that very difficult Klein chicane.
Yeah, it is treacherous to go into here. I do love the camera angles that we've got, riding directly on top of the 77 machine, and this is what I mean. You'll either see a gap completely close or grow at a moment's notice like that. Adam Dalmont nailed that chicane. Pete Newman was all right, but the gap did close ever so slightly. Again, it just, if you get it perfect, you will actually find yourself using all of the curb. But when you get it wrong, you'll find yourself using a little bit less than all of the curb. There's a little bit of a snap there from Dalmont, sees him lose a couple of places. McHutchison and Hardy find their way through. And Dalmont, an uncharacteristic mistake, he nailed the hardest chicane and, well, unfortunately, fumbled at the easiest one.
Yeah, you've got David Ayres here as well. He's under attack from Mark Draper. This is Pro and Ams, of course. There is David Ayres there doing a stellar job, and behind him you have got Mark Draper as we look through that back window of that Clio as we come through the Jochen-Rindt of turn 9 and down into this turn 10 of Jackie Hickpot. This is where you need Alex Goldschmidt here at this point, who gives full pronunciation, R's and all sorts going on. So much love to Alex, of course, who's just got back from Germany, I believe, being down out at the Expo. So David Ayres trying to fight out. He has got Roger Morton in front of him. Morton has said this week he is going to come out and give it his absolute all to try and get within that AM standing championship, right? He said, I'm going to come out and I'm just going to give it full beans. Now, at the moment, he is quite far back. I'm not going to lie here, Zach. I'm trying to do quick maths. I think he's 63 points back at the moment, but we've got that independent scoring system, so it doesn't matter where Roger Morton finishes. As long as David Ayres is in contact with Morton, he will still score points and stay within that area, won't he? And that's the thing for Roger Morton. He really needs David Ayres to be a little bit further down.
Yeah, he'd love that, of course, side by side, just in the background, or at least nearly, which is probably not the best idea going into the Klein chicane. We've got Dan Lewis as well fighting with these guys, but yeah, of course, pros have got 1 point scoring system, AMs have got another, which means that Roger Morton and David Ayres could be 10 cars apart, but you know they'd still score points for first and second. So Roger Morton needs ideally David Ayres to get overtaken by Lewis and the likes of the rest of the AM field. And well, very much looking forward to seeing how this battle commences, because both of them have been on top form really since the sort of the start of the season, right? David Ayres, Roger Morton, they've both come in punching, and it's been amazing to see that develop. David Ayres has had a couple of rounds where he's just been riding the wave a little bit, I think. A little bit quiet, a little bit subtle, not really setting the timing sheets ablaze, but Roger Morton has been coming in, swinging, Well, they've been going toe-to-toe. Of course, Roger Morton is able to bridge the gap a little bit to David Ayres. He's got Mark Draper on the back of him, but Draper, obviously, with the red band on the time and town means he's a pro. The all-important thing is Dan Lewis, I think, following him through and getting ahead.
Yeah, I thoroughly believe as well. The problem is David Ayres this season has been almost Mr. Consistent. You can guarantee that if you had to pick one driver to put your house on to finish the race, you probably would with David Ayres. I think that's the thing with David Ayres. He's been so consistent. Oh, where are you gone, Mark Draper? There you are. I don't think, to be honest, he doesn't do anything silly that he can't control. Now, sometimes we put the control in other people's hands, don't we, as racing drivers? You know, you give it to other people and sometimes they make silly moves or you make a silly move or whatever. But David Ayres gives himself full control, and that's what I like about him. He doesn't do anything crazy. He doesn't do anything stupid. If he's got a pro, he has got, I think it's quite interesting because he has got the awareness all around him that other drivers I've seen don't have. He is just fully aware that if that pro's coming and it's coming through, he'll just let him go. And I think that's where some of the AMs could probably learn from David Ayres, his consistency, his awareness of his surroundings, and I think that's what makes David Ayres so different to other drivers. We have got the young lad, the 16-year-old Jack Andrews at the moment. He's got Ollie Ricks, Paul Godden, Lee Diemer and Edward Parfitt behind him with Craig Jones as well. Jack Andrews has been driving well, 16 years, first league this season as well, Zach. And he's another driver that's done a stellar job as well. And at the moment, he has got 6 drivers right behind him who are going to pressure, or 5 drivers, I should say, who are going to pressurize him all the way. You can see Ollie Wicks is looking at making a move up the inside. He didn't quite make it through. Here as well, Paul Godden's trying to get in the mix once more. And these guys now are almost side by side. Ricks backs out, but here comes Lee Diemer on the way through. They're almost 3 wide. This AM battle with a pro of Diemer going off here once more, and it is Jack Andrews still the cork in the bottle here, Zach. But look at the back, further back as well. It's 3 wide racing going round turn 2 and 3. Edward Parfitt says thank you very much. He moves ahead of Ollie Ricks. He's still got Craig Jones behind him, and they're still going at it, Zach.
Yeah, great respect given between all of these guys. They're 2 wide, multiple cars deep. It's Jack Andrews that still just hangs on to the lead of this train. A lot of maturity on some very young shoulders. He is flying the flag really nicely out in front. Side by side as well, Paul Godden and Lee Diemer continuing their fight into the Klein chicane. That is definitely not going to end well if they continue that avenue of affairs, but thankfully they're back out of it. Apart from, was it Craig Jones, I think, cut across the chicane.
Go on.
Amateur.
I knew that was coming. I almost expected something else, actually. I almost expected
3 trophies for what? Track limits?
Yeah, that's what I was expecting. That is kind of nailed it there as well. That was what I was expecting. We got Edward under attack at the moment from Ollie Ricks here. As you can see, Ollie Ricks is literally right close as they're coming into turn 8. Is Ricks going to go up beside us? He's not this time around. Is he going to go left? He's not. He's staying behind here as well. What's Jack Andrews' situation? Well, he's opened a bit of a gap to Lee Diemer, and Lee Diemer has not got that gap to Paul Godden. These 5 providing some epic racing as they are literally line astern through Jackie, but we go, and off we go once more down that start-finish straight with Lee Diemer, who has jumped to the front of the pack. That was expected. He's got Jack Andrews a little bit in front of him, so now Lee Diemer, the pro, can try and close the gap on the AMs. I think that's probably what Lee Diemer's main mission is going to be at the moment.
Yeah, he's got to, but he needs to get himself ahead of Andrews and then 8 seconds to the next pro driver, which obviously isn't ideal for him. You've now got Edward Parfitt. To be fair to him, fighting back all right. He's now finding himself side by side with Paul Godden for the next position up in the AMs. I believe this will be 4th place for him, if he, 5th place I should say, if he's able to consolidate it to the outside. He's gone for it. That's brave. Fair play, Edward Parfitt. He's kept his foot in. Job done. Edward Parfitt, fair play, son.
Yeah, he's been learning. I've been teaching him this week.
That, did you? Yeah,
I've been teaching him how to go around the outside of people this week for Edward. And now he's going to set on his way. He's sitting in 5th in class at the moment. You can see the top 6 in the pros, ending with Carl Jacklett there. The pros are not really as close as these guys in this AM fight. That's why we're looking. Oh, Godden! He's got to have a slowdown, hasn't he? He completely missed the chicane.
You'd imagine. Yeah, I'd almost certainly say that iRacing has given him at least something for that. Obviously we'll wait and see, because you don't have to serve it immediately. You either have, I think it's 30 seconds or the end of the next lap, or you might just get 30 seconds.
Well, it depends what the timer is. If he got a slowdown, he's got to take it before the slowdown timer runs out. Now, the question is what he may smartly... Yeah, but that might only be 20 seconds, whatever, or 2 seconds in general. Because they basically calculate it as the position gained where you would have been if you had taken the chicane properly. So if Godden's done the smart thing, that tight right-hander at turn 8, I would have kind of put that as using the slowdown, shall we say, to get it off, because you could just take it a little bit slower, right? You know, you might give us a bit of a gap to the guys in front, but at the end of the day, you know, give just a tad slower, take some of the time off as well. So that's what I probably would have done. But for Carl Jacklett, this is what he is doing, going all over the back of Charles Kellerman here once more. Good old Carl Jacklett with Charles K on the right-hand side. Jacklett's going in. They're going in side by side. Incline. Oh, did Kellerman make it through? Oh, he did. He backed out. And Charles Kellerman made it through. Ha-ha, James, you're taking the credit for Edward there. Yeah, why not, Chase? You know what I mean? He is my boy. I taught him everything he knows. It was a great overtake, to be honest. Ran the outside. I'm sure he'll want me to show it again or something in a minute. I'll tell you what, we'll have another look back. Just to give him a little bit of props. He has done well this year as Lee Deemer forcibly goes past Jack Andrews. And now Edwards on the back of both of these drivers. He's through on Andrews as well. Oh, he only needs one more place for the pole in the next race sack.
Fighting with Lee Deemer for it. He wants it. Edward Parfitt, come on. Like, I have to say, like, no bias, but he is driving so well. Like, obviously, he had the issue early on. That's fair.
Yeah.
Things happen. But what crafts a champion is how you bounce back from it. And that's exactly what Edward Parfitt is doing at the moment. He is just insane. He's carved his way back through on this straight. He's now into the top 10, which obviously is the reverse grid for race 2. It's not even until race 3 that we see Edward Parfitt really shine. Now he's doing it in race 1 to then shine hopefully even more into race 2. Obviously he's got a lot of work cut out from with Lee Deemer, as we've still got probably 5 or 6 laps left to go with 7 minutes remaining. But he's putting himself in some good stead. Despite the fact he had a mistake early on, he's still up 7 net places in this race. Like, he's doing all right.
Clearly he's had his Weetabix this morning as me boy. Hey, look at him flying along. That was all me. I taught him everything he knows. Just want to put that out there as well. Oh, stop it. As we got Carl Jacklett has lost the place again here to Charles Kellerman. Charles Kellerman did get back through on the roof of Carl Jacklett here as well. And now let's see what he is able to do. Is he able to get past Charles Kellerman on this lap? Is he able to try and make that move? He's coming into that turn 7 chicane. He's gone right. He's gone left. No, not this time around. He's now going to try and get the run off that turn 7 down into turn 8. At the moment is Carl Jacklett on the front left of his car once more, chasing down Charles Kellerman into 8. We got Dan Lewis, Roger Morton and David Ayres in front of him at the moment as well for Charles Kellerman. So he's got to try and make either try and catch them as a pro, Zach, or let them get through. Or, sorry, not let them get through, but just leave them to battle on, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose. Obviously the discrepancy is a little bit awkward with that one, but just drive the race, get as high as you can. They're racing drivers at the end of the day, right? So try telling them to slow down. Like, even though there's a sort of discrepancy between the pros and the AMs, obviously different point scoring systems as such. Just drive. I mean, if you can do it viably, then by all means go for it. Also, for those inside the top 10, to be fair, if I was maybe Dan Lewis, I would let Kellerman and Jacklett through, because that gives you the same amount of points in the AMs, but it boosts you up for the reverse grid race. It puts you in a higher position, so you're scoring the same points, but you're also setting yourself up even better for race 2 going forward, which is probably what I'd do, but
yeah, the thing is,
it makes sense.
Yeah, it does, and that will give a JPB an all 1-2 on the front of the grid. Because Edward would
but the
be
thing for
pole.
Lewis is he's on the back of Ayres, so he's got the opportunity for more points.
Yeah,
which
but
is the dilemma that he's got.
The difference is now he's got whether or not he's going to be able to try and get them points off David Ayres. The thing is, with the way Ayres is driving, the problem is he's got to lose about 3.5 seconds there as well. It looks like Lee Dima has got past Edward Parfitt. He's got to slow down. I've got a funny feeling it's all just gone wrong for Edward Parfitt here. What has he been up to? I didn't teach him this. I got to be honest. Did he? I think he got a slowdown there as well. Looks like he may have got a slowdown coming through the back end of that chicane there. Unfortunately for him, he's now down in 14th and trying to stay in front of Craig Jones and go once more over Jack Andrews. We've got about 4 minutes remaining. He's got 4 minutes to bounce himself up. No fewer than 1, 2, 3, 4 places. That's a big ask there, Zach, but as we say, anything could be possible. Why are the young guns so fast? Shows us holders how to get it, how it's done. Definitely did for me at the end of the day. Jack's super speedy, and he's 16, and you got Edward who's 18. You know, these young guns coming through, and there's, you know, me at 21, not able to keep up with them.
I don't know. Yeah, 21. Yeah, cool. 21 in dog years. Right?
But basically at the end of the day, look, I would have been free if I was only 21 when I had my boy, and I would have done quite well if that was the case. Oh, wow!
What are you feeding this kid?
I don't know. All I know is he's been with me all day in Bristol, and he's had a couple of cups of coffee, but God blimey, he absolutely nailed that through on Jack Andrews there. He's clearly got pace here tonight, right? He's clearly done better than what his qualifying position has given him full credit for. Go on, son. As you can see, the Ollie Ricks Paul Godden battle taking shape here as well. He's going to be a bit more precarious through that corner. He doesn't want another slowdown. Ollie Ricks is going to be running side by side at the moment. David Ayres on the right as we come down through Brieux into the chicane here as well. Paul Godden, Ollie Ricks puffs the air out, the smoke out of these Clios and does get it stopped, makes that move now. Edwards now coming alongside Paul Godden. He's forced. Oh, dearie me, he's almost forced that position. He did force the position on Godden, who's now going to lose a place to Jack Andrews. Andrews is trying to send it.
Oh, no.
Almost. Oh, it's on the grass. These two young guns having an absolutely storm battle here. Edward Parfitt, Jack Andrews, he's trying to go around him. The two kids here between them are having an absolute epic scrap. And I've got to be honest, 16 and 18 still doesn't even match my age here. And these guys doing an absolute epic scrap. Craig Jones is in the mix as well. He's going to send it 3 wide with Jack Andrews going into turn 1. Andrews in the middle. Godden's on the outside. They did make it work here. Literally, it's going to be nearly the final lap of the race, and these 3 are not done. Andrews going to try and run that wide line out past Paul Godden on the outside, coming off 2 at the moment. Down to 3 they go, coming into 4. On the brakes, he's going to have to be. Andrews is going to have to be brave. Is he going to be brave? He's looking for the outside line. He is brave, this young man. Craig Jones in the background as well. No, not a straight. Oh, Craig Jones. No.
No trophies for that one, mate.
Oh, you can't do it on a straight, Mr. Jones. Oh.
At my local karting track, they've got a trophy that they give out at the end of events called the Wooden Spoon, and he'd probably deserve that trophy. He's essentially for the driver that bottles it the most and consistently spins or whatever. Craig Jones has not had a good day today. Let's take a look. Obviously, it might not be his fault. I don't even think it was, to be fair, but any excuse.
I think let's go and have a look and see if we can get a little bit close. Oh, I need to come back just that little bit more, I think. We'll go back to where he lost the position here. There's Craig Jones behind us. Jones goes one way, he goes...
That's a bit harsh.
Do you think it was Craig Jones's fault, though?
Yeah.
That's the thing, right?
I know for sure it definitely wasn't Godden's as such, because obviously let's
have a look.
Who moves? It's Jones, right? He goes right into it. Yeah, look at that. Look at that.
What an absolute nightmare. There's been another nightmare here as well. Oh, son, what did you do? What did you do? I believe that... Oh, it just goes into the... Oh.
Did you get a drive-through? Track limits?
Must have done. Must have done. Obviously, Edward up at the 17X there as well, but let's pick up on Pete Newman. He is going to be going down to the line very, very shortly. He is going to win the Pro Class in race 1. It's going to be Newman, I believe. He's got one more corner almost to go. The Jackie Itbot turn 10. And then Newman will come over the line and take this victory here this evening. You can have a look. Here he comes now, Pete Newman. Job done, race 1 winner with John McCutcheon in second. And then you've got Carl Hardy and Mark Draper here as well. In the AMS, it's going to be Morton. He's going to take that win over Ayres. Unfortunately for Roger Morton, he did what he needed to do, Zach, but he still got Ayres within touching distance. And I think that's one of the things there for Roger Morton that he's going to have to try and I don't want to say get rid of Roger Morton, but he kind of needs to lose Roger Morton in a way, David Ayres in a way. Lee Diemer and Ollie Ricks having a great battle there as well. The young lad Jack Andrews comes over the line with Craig Jones tucked up right behind him. Of course, we saw what happened to Jones there as well. Very difficult end to the race, and then we're just waiting for Gary Walsh and Mick Barry, Sir Alan Toon, and Edward Parfitt as well. So, good race for some, but others not so much, unfortunately, for the likes of Paul Godden there.
Yes, a couple of people had some unfortunate races. I'd say for Morton, you can't really blame him for anything. He's gone out there, he's won the race. He's won in the AMS, and like, he can't do any more than he's already doing, right? He essentially is riding on the fact that Dan Lewis gets past David Ayres, that the rest of the AMS get better essentially, or David Ayres gets worse, because already Roger Morton's winning, he's driving well. As I say, there's not much more he can do. He can't score any more points, but he can't exactly force the other drivers to overtake Ayres and limit his points as well. He just sort of is doing everything he can as such, and is just essentially, as I say, just hoping that the rest of the Anfield do something.
I've got a distinct feeling. Hold on, I'm just checking on something here. I know there's been issues with some of the server setups earlier on. The setup was set up in a bit of a rush, so we are going to find out here what the situation will be very, very shortly. As we're on a brief 5-minute warm-up. Now, that's not something we normally see here. But let's bring you up the results for Heat 1. Pete Newman is your winner. John McCutcheon is second. And then Carl Hardy is your 1, 2, 3. Mark Draper in fourth. Then you got Roger Morton, David Ayres and Dan Lewis. Carl Jacklett and Charles Kellerman in 8th and 9th. Ollie Ricks, Gary Walsh, Sir Alan Toon, Edward Parfitt, Lee Diemer, Jack Andrews, Craig Jones, Andy Littler, Adam Delmont, who also went into the pits. Then you got Mick Barry and Paul Godden there as well. Why is it bringing up them results? What has happened here? Okay, well, I'm just trying to find out why it has done what it has done at the moment and not done the second race. We're just trying to work out on that one. So just give us 2 minutes to work that one out here as well. But very interesting race one there, Zach. I think Pete Newman, well-deserved winner. So a great job from him. Just kind of cements his place in the championship at the moment.
Yeah, it does. And with, not a million races left to go. We've only got as I say, we've got race 2 and 3 of round 8, and then obviously the 6 races that round off the season at rounds 9 and 10. So only got 8 races left to go, which when you compare to the 30 that we've got for the whole season, in retrospect, what's that? That's less than 10%. That's 8 out of 30, which is something, yeah, whatever it is at the end. In the end, you know what? Actually, I'll work
why are you
out.
trying to do maths? Stop it.
26%, 26.7% of the season left, which is not a lot. We're already 3/4 of the way through, essentially. So now is the time where you really start to consolidate positions, really focus forward, and if you're leading, you know, you start performing well, you start putting that nail in the coffin. If you're trailing, then you need to be stepping it up. You need to be closing that gap, and not throwing points away, which unfortunately is what Adam Delmont has managed to do today.
Yeah, there seems that there is an issue. Bear with us 2 seconds, guys. We're just going to take a minute to sort here as well. We'll be back very, very shortly. Right, so it seems that the session has skipped over the second race here as well. So just going to try and find out what has gone on here as well. So give us 2 seconds. We will bring you up the grid for race 2. Jack Andrews out in front with Lee Deemer, Edward Parfitt, Sir Alan Toon, Gary Walsh, Ollie Ricks, Charles Kellerman, Carl Jacklett, Dan Lewis, David Ayres, Roger Morton, Mark Draper, Carl Hardy, John McCutcheon, and then Pete Newman. So it has skipped the consolidation. It's gone into race 3 with the top 15. Reverse Craig Jones, Andy Littler, and Adam Delmont there at the back, with Andy Littler, Mick Barry, and Paul Godden. So yeah, we're just trying to sort out what's happening, as it's quite hard. Just carry on for a minute, Zach.
Yeah, all right. So whatever's happening, obviously, we try and set up the iRacing session to have three races, but sometimes things slip through the cracks. So essentially what has happened is we've had the top 15 reverse grid already, but we're about to get ourselves underway for what is race 2. We'll sort out whatever happens for race 3. There is the grid. Jack Andrews on pole, Lee Deemer alongside. We're underway in racing for another race here in Zolder. And of course, Jack Andrews, the youngster, trying to fight his way towards the front, gets immediately attacked by Lee Deemer going towards turn number 1. It's the outside line for Andrews. He's able to hold firm quite nicely. Of course, pursuing an AM win would be very nice. There's absolute carnage in the background. Multiple cars, I think nearly 4 or 5 wide at some point going through turn number 1. They fizzle themselves out into just a couple rows of 3. But continuing to fight as they round off the first sector here for race number 2. The top 3 nose to tail. Andrews from Deemer, Parfitt up in the mix. There's the move from Deemer, looks to go to the inside. Parfitt, though, once again catapults himself around the outside. Beautifully done. A little bit of a dip into the gravel, but he's able to get himself ahead and, well, continues that fight. Gary Walsh out of absolutely nowhere finds himself to take the lead.
Yeah, it does at the moment. You can see here in the middle of the pack, there's that strewn of cars in front of us. Dan Lewis is on our left-hand side. There's a couple that completely missed the chicane. Unfortunately, David Ayres, that was. Roger Morton's also off the side of the circuit. So Roger Morton, he has gone round here as well. What happened to Roger Morton? Oh, I think there was more involved than what we saw. Morton and Delmont. Delmont leaves. Well, it's a little bit chaotic as there's Mick Barry facing completely the wrong way there. Ollie Ricks, Charles Kellerman, Edward Parfitt out in front. Carl Hardy losing the spade position to Pete Newman there as well. 20 minutes to go, 19 basically to go here. And at the moment it is Edward Parfitt out in front with Charles Kellerman, Ollie Ricks. Mark Draper's trying to battle away with Craig Jones in 6th and 7th at the moment here. Having a good old fight, these two currently at the moment, with Mark Draper taking that position away from Craig Jones. Gary Walsh absolutely sending it there, Zach, and he's now got himself up into 5th overall, 4th in class.
Yeah, driving really nicely, and well, he'd like a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. Who knows? In terms of the rest of the race, again, it depends obviously where he wants to stay for the rest of it. Pete Newman though is fighting his way forwards really nicely. He's up 7th. He's on the back of Gary Walsh. If he's able to send the move to the outside, then well, it could be even an extra place. But Walsh obviously has gone from the highest of highs now down to the back end of the top 5, even outside of it, the top 5. Pete Newman keeps him honest. He's on the left, and that, of course, will be the inside line when they get to the Kleiner chicane, which is quite ironic because Kleiner is German for small, but it's by no means a small chicane. And when you're thinking in respect of the anti-cut curbs, they are absolutely huge and will definitely spit you out if you let it. You've then got Carl Hardy picking his way past Carl Jackler, also doing it. Gary Walsh, it's gone from, well, very high to not so much. He's now trying to launch a counter-attack on Carl Jacklin, but can't really muster anything up at all. Still 4th in class, mind, but he's been falling backwards.
Yeah, he has a little bit at the moment. He has been taking a trip further back. Unfortunately for Gary Walsh, was 4th overall. Handsome Stew, I missed it all. Swing dog, he says here as well for Gary Walsh. Mark Draper has just sent it on the inside of Paul Godden. Great race there as well. Mick Barry's had another unfortunate incident to jump back to the pits. Charles Kellerman is right behind Edward Parfitt at the moment as well. Ollie Ricks is tucked in there. These guys find out for the 1, 2, 3. Charles K trying to battle over the man in first place. It will be an adventure if he takes that victory. I will never hear the end of it in the Parfitt household as we look on top now of Charles Kellerman's car, battling away and trying to chase down Edward Parfitt into turn 2.
Yeah, obviously Kellerman is leading in the pros, so again, same points for Parfitt and Kellerman in their respective categories, but obviously Kellerman wants to build the buffer if he can. He's got Pete Newman rising through the ranks, so if he is quicker than the young gun of Edward Parfitt, he would like to find a way through and build the buffer while he can, while Pete Newman is still carving his way through the rest of the pack. He is trying to send it quite late, I'll give him that, but no way through on the pack ahead. He's just onto the back of Jack Andrews at this point. He's not a million miles away from Charles Kellerman, who obviously has got to be feeling the threat of Pete Newman, who, well, again, as I say, is just absolutely flying at the moment. Adam Delmont back into the pit lane. He has just not had a good day, and I have to say, he's the only real challenger to Pete Newman, so Newman, he's got to be feeling confident in this championship now. Yeah,
there's going to be a discussion. Handsome Stew just made it for the 3rd race, so actually this should have been the 2nd race. It skipped over the consolidation race, which has caused everybody to be where they shouldn't be. I'm sure there might be a discussion about it. I'm sure there could possibly be Zolder added on a little bit later on if they all decide to drop the round off. Now, unfortunately for Edward, that's going to be a little bit upsetting because he has taken his first victory, maybe. It's going to be tough, mind you, because he's got Charles Kellerman and Pete Newman closing in here as well. But yeah, there may be a discussion about that. We will talk to the admins and see what happens. We had a session that didn't start, the original session that didn't fire up and go, and then we had to set up a second session, which then decided it was going to put fixed setups on, and then we had to go for a third session, which is what we're in now, which has just skipped over the consolidation. So we're trying to see what the general consensus is at the moment, but Edward Parfitt's still out in front with Charles Kellerman and also Ollie Ricks battling away here once more. Newman's trying to go up the inside of Ollie Ricks. He did make it through, did Pete Newman, and a stellar job from him. I don't think Ricks is giving it up though. He's not going to try and give it up at the moment. There is Ollie Ricks on our outside here with Pete Newman in front there, and there we go. Let's see what happens. Pete Newman has got through currently at the moment here as well. Charles Kellerman battling alongside Edward Parfitt at the moment. Once more here, these guys find out. Trying to go too wide. Kellerman does go through. And unfortunately for Edward Parfitt, he is now leading the AMs with Ollie Ricks not too far behind.
Yeah, doing a really good job is Parfitt. He's just driving quite nicely, and you know, despite some mistakes, he's been all right. Pete Newman goes to the inside, which is natural. Parfitt doesn't really want to fight him too hard, but what it has done is open the door for Ollie Ricks to send the move side by side now for the AM lead, and it's Parfitt that just narrowly stays ahead, but they're fighting locked arm in arm, the two of them, and they go side by side with contact. And Edward Parfitt and Ollie Ricks come to blows. They spin themselves across the track. There's further contact. Who was that involved? Cole Jacklet involved. It's absolute mayhem on the back straight towards the final chicane. Lee Deemer just trying to carve his way through the carnage. Parfitt into the pit lane. Oh no. What happened here? Who turned into who?
There's one.
That's fine.
Whoa!
Oh, Ricks. Surely that was Ricks.
Yeah. And then Jacklet, unfortunately, just... I'm not biased because he is my boy, but I would even call that as Ollie Ricks there as well. He got room.
He's just... Ricks is like bouncing off him already and then just comes to the left. Obviously, I think we'll see if we ride on board.
Trying to find it here. So
there it is. This is Ricks. Yeah, he drifts over to the left. He drifts and then...
I think it's difficult because he's probably going to say the same thing, isn't he?
Well, let's go on board with Parfitt and see what he does. Obviously,
there's one.
He's trying to squeeze. There's the first bit of contact. Completely straight. A little bit of a drift over, but...
Not that much of a drift over, surely, I don't think. But Parfitt is on his way out of the pits here as well. Charles Kellerman fighting it out. And I just want to see what that incident was about a little bit earlier on. There has been a little bit of a tat-tat-tat.
Yeah, I can understand why Delmont isn't happy with that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely not Parfitt's fault, says Handsome Shoe. So there we go. But Charles Kellerman fighting out with Pete Newman. John McCutcheon sitting 6th overall, battling away with Carl Hardy. Fighting out with, I believe that's Dan Lewis in the JPB machine in front of us at the moment here, Zach. But John McCutcheon, Carl Hardy, Jack Andrews, Dan Lewis and Paul Godden all fighting out for 7th, 8th and 9th.
Yeah, they are. Nice little battle going on. Can't complain with it whatsoever into the second half of race 2. So looking quite nice. In fact, Dan Lewis trying to pick his way forward. That is, of course, the fight for 4th place in the AMS. You've got David Ayres from Gary Walsh, then Paul Godden, then the Dan Lewis fighting away side by side as well, just ahead of them. So that is a little bit of a fight. I think that was Carl Hardy trying to launch an attack on Jack Andrews. Indeed it was. Up over the crest, tipping your way back downhill again. And, well, Hardy needs to clear some of the AMS in order to pursue more of the pros, but he's got a 3-car buffer he needs to clear, and, well, as it stands, there's no way through.
No, there definitely isn't at the moment here. So let's see what happens and go from there. Brian Holmes, even sorry missed tonight, guys, had family things to do, that's fine. Didn't look like either of them turned the wheel into each other. No, it was a little bit of a different one there, Morris, I think, to be honest, Jason, and it was a tough one to try and decipher. I think both me and Zach were kind of a little bit confused as to which way, how that came about. I think it was a little bit of a strange one because, as you say, neither driver looked like they turned in, but did both of them do that? That's the question. Did both of them? Let's have a look here. You can see there. So there's Rick's to the right. Edward comes to the left. It's both, isn't it? Yeah, because Edward comes to the right, Rick's comes to the left, and then they both make contact. Dan Lewis here with Paul Godden fighting out as well as they're going side by side in the battle for fourth in class at the moment. So it's been a very tough evening here as well. We will make a decision on this session as well, guys, whether or not, with the fact that the consolidation race for some reason got skipped over and didn't actually take place, whether or not this round will count or we'll do this again at the end of the season. A decision will be made. We will leave the broadcast running while we make that decision and see what happens here as well. So we'll go from there and make that decision as soon as the race has finished. As I say, we will leave the broadcast running, but we will, at the end of the day, discuss what's going to happen here as well. So bear with us on that one. As we said, the consolidation race did, for some reason, get skipped. So let's see what goes on here as well. Jack Andrews trying to fight out with Dan Lewis as we're going into the last 7 minutes here, Zach. Let's see what happens as well. They're going to be side by side on that straightaway. Dan Lewis on the right, Andrews on the left. Behind it is Hardy. Under the bridge we go. They're going to be side by side. It is going to be Lewis who's going to get that move into Jackie Hitbot. Done. Carl Hardy, John McCutcheon trying to come through the field at the same time. It's going to be very difficult for all parties involved here as well, because at the end of the day, it's very close racing and it's AMs and pros.
It is a little bit of a mix and match, which, yeah, can't complain with it. We've got still 7 minutes left to go as well, which, again, keeps a lot of us interested. 6 cars, nose to tail, fighting away. There goes Jack Andrews trying to find a way past on Dan Lewis, but no way through for now. However, it has sent Lewis wide, which opens the door for not only 1, not only 2, but potentially even 3 cars to freight train their way through. There goes John McCutcheon. Now they're going to be 3 wide into this fast right-hander. Surely not. The Scotsman to McCutcheon has got a lot of bravery and courage to send that move. It's Jack Andrews that leads, coming out with it in 7th place overall. Beautifully done. Thankfully, everyone's keeping it pointing the right way.
Yeah, they are for this bonus. We're going into Klein now as well. They're all still managing to keep these cars on the circuit. There's been a few other people here as well. It's taken a little bit of an off-track. Carl Hardy's just gone up the inside of Jack Andrews. To be honest, I don't think Jack's really going to fight that, because considering that's your stepdad in front of you, and Jack Andrews there as well. So, you know, from Jack's point of view, probably a good move. I'm pretty sure he probably wants to get fed this evening.
Yeah, that dinner table is going to be a little bit awkward. Jack Andrews fighting away with McCutcheon, who does send the move to the inside. But yeah, got to be nice to the relatives out on track. I know a lot of times where I've seen siblings come to blows before. It's not fun, and I've said multiple times that I would pay a lot of money to be a fly on the wall in that said dinner room. In the world of racing, there's the Marvin and Sven Mackenberg brothers, and there's been a couple of times where they've come to blows or been racing each other for a race lead, or their internet disconnects or whatever it is. And you just sit back and you think that dinner table must be a lot of fun. Like, you wouldn't want to cross one of them. Let's put it that way. So yeah, whenever you've got relations, there's always a little bit of a rocky road to be had. But oh god, what's Craig Jones done?
Craig, I think, has been
In a bit, mate. Oh no.
Where's he going?
Where's he going?
I don't know, wherever he's going, he'll be back in the pits, I can tell you that much. So, unfortunately for Craig Jones there, not entirely sure what's happened once more as we're going into the last 5 minutes of this race. As I say, there will be a discussion after this with the drivers. They all are in... Most of them are in one voice chat. We will have a chat with them and see what the situation is on that one. So let's see what happens here as Dan Lewis has just gone on somewhere. Preferably, probably not where he should be going, I think, on that one, Zach, to be honest.
I don't quite think that's the line, no.
We may have completely missed that one.
A little bit, yeah. Bit too late on the brakes, maybe. Side by side as well. This is Roger Morton, Paul Godden, and Dan Lewis fighting away for the fringes of the top 10, of course, if all goes well. Actually, I'm not too sure because we'll have to get a different session. It's going to be difficult to have a top 10 reverse because it's a separate session. I don't know how this is going to work. Basically, just fight for whatever you can then, boys. There's not really any reverse grid at play because chances are it's going to be a random one for race 3, which is a little bit strange, but anyway, what can you do? Dan Lewis on the back of these guys, of course, they're all AMs, so they're all fighting for points.
Phil there said Craig Jones must have been ill because he pulled into the med centre. To be fair, he did actually pull into the med centre, didn't he? Gary Walsh running side by side with Lee Deemer here. And John McCutcheon in the background there trying to chase down on Carl Hardy. These guys will look like they're having an epic scrap here once more as well. So they're doing a great job at the moment and just trying to clarify things at the same time here. But let's see how this one pans out as we're going into the last 3 minutes. I believe there's going to be one more here, Zach, before we wrap up Zolder. And I will nip off and speak to the drivers and see what they would like to do after this one. So bear with us at the end of this, guys, because we will get this sorted out. Pete Newman, Carl Hardy there going through on Gary Walsh. John McCutcheon trying to do the same thing here as well. At the end of the day, some of the races have been really good, and you know, they've been fighting closely. We've seen battles through the circuit. We've seen, you know, people going around the outside of 4 and all of that. And at the end of the day, the racing itself has been good. As we said earlier on, somewhat of a Marmite circuit for others.
Yeah. Speaking of, I've been seeing a lot of ads for Marmite recently. I don't like Marmite at all, but I do like Zolder. So there we go. There's my split opinion. Absolutely hate Marmite. I've had it once, and it was grim, and I refused to ever go near it again. It left me the bad taste in my mouth. It was my morning breath for a good 2 months afterwards, and it was grim. So never again. Anyway, Marmite aside, we're at Zolder. It's a circuit that I really do like, and it's a circuit that at the moment McCutcheon is making some really good sends at. The inside of turn number 1 promotes him up into 7th place as we begin the penultimate lap. These guys are beginning their penultimate lap of the race. McCutcheon, to be fair to him, as I say, he's not shy. Let's put it that way.
No, and the good thing is as well, he's gained 7 places, right? So, and he's done that by the end of the 20 minutes. So he's taken it piece by piece by piece here, you know. And that's the thing with him at the end of the day. He hasn't rushed any of the moves. Roger Morton and Jack Andrews fighting out here as well. The young gun on the left-hand side, the old guard on the right. So as well, I believe Craig Jones has unfortunately had an incident with a wasp. So I believe Craig Jones may have had a wasp attacking him, hence he pulled off there as well and probably screamed in terror. Dan Lewis and Paul Godden fighting out here as well as they're battling out in that AM Championship for 5th and 6th.
Yeah, nice stuff. That's probably the most Craig Jones thing ever.
I know.
I don't not believe him. I hope he's not allergic, because that would be a lot less funny if he is allergic.
I am. That would be my nightmare. You would literally be hearing me screaming at the moment, because that would actually be my nightmare.
It's not fun. Last time I got stung by a wasp, my little sister whipped it away, tried to swat it away. That's the word. Swatted it away, and it landed on my leg and stung me. So I've never forgiven her for that. So I don't like wasps. So I can sympathise with or empathise, I suppose, with Craig Jones in that regard. But fair enough. So he's
Well, he's still,
but
he lost the wasp, mind you. As Lee did, he's lost it. Yeah, he can't find it. He's trying to find it. He's still trying to find the wasp. So Lee D, Carl Hardy, Johnny Mack there as well. McHutchison fighting out as they're coming round now for the final lap of the race here at Zolder. It's been a bit of a weird one, bit of an up and down one, as people unfortunately that going off the side of the circuit. We've got wasps attacking Craig Jones. There's contact on a straight.
Again, 3 times. Guys. Oh my goodness. I think people are just being too ambitious. Like, they're trying to be too overzealous with their moves. As such, they're trying to, like, dummy to the inside of things, which are great when they work, but they're very risky, and they're risky for a reason. So obviously, no hate to Lee Dima. I know he's a very aggressive driver and things, but he never usually steps over the limit. Just on that particular occasion, it would have been best to just stay in front.
Newman comes over and takes that race to victory here. So we will get this finished off, and then we will go and have a discussion with everyone. Charles Kellerman comes over, and Draper there as well. You carry on for 2 seconds there, Zach. I just want to get them into that one voice chat so I can go and have a chat with them.
Of course, yeah, no worries. So, good end to that race. Well, I say good. It was a very weird end to that race with the crash on the straight. But again, just drivers being a little bit too, ambitious, I think, with their moves and things. Just rather than going for the simplest ones, get your roots down first, get the foundations. There's a reason why just going for the inside line works. There's no need to be ducking and diving and swerving in and out of gaps to get moves done. You don't need to. Go back to the basics. Sometimes, and chances are you'll probably find yourself working out a little bit better. If I do sound like I've got a cold, it's because I do. I sound rough, but there we go. It's fine. I've got a job to do. It's not as bad as it has been before. James will tell you that for free. So too will Ewan O'Leary. There's been multiple times where it's been a lot worse than this. So
you've sounded like a squeaky toy.
Just bear with. Yeah, exactly. I sounded like the penguin out of Toy Story. On this very series, funnily enough, quite a while ago. It wasn't a ton of fun, but hey ho. Anyway, we're waiting for the last couple of stragglers to cross the line and take the checkered flag of race 2 of this evening. Still got one more to go, depending on obviously what the drivers want to do. There are the results. Pete Newman, Charles Kellerman, Draper the podium, very deservedly so from all of them ones. It was David Ez taking the win in the AMS ahead of Carl Hardy, and then Carl Hardy running off the top 5. Jack Andrews in behind, taking a very good result, second in the AMS. Paul Godden, Daniel Lewis, 7th and 8th. Roger Morton, Gary Walsh at the top 10. Then comes, of course, Lee Dima just in behind, Andrew Littler, Sir Alan Toon, Edward Parfitt. Then comes Ollie Ricks, McHutchison, Jones, Jacqueline, Barry and Delmont to, of course, round off the grid right at the back end of the field there. Bless him in P20. It's been a long evening for him. He's not a happy bunny.
Yeah, give us 2 seconds, guys. We are going to leave you just with this screen for 2 minutes while I go and have a chat to the drivers and discuss what the situation is. And we will be back very, very shortly. Okay, guys, so we are back here as well. What we have discussed with the drivers is with the issue of the sessions, we are going to add this round on to the end of the season. So they've all agreed that they wanted an extra race. So what we are going to do is go and add that on to the end of the season. So that's going to bring the broadcast to an end tonight as well. But they are obviously going to be doing Zolder at the end here. So that will be an extra one for everyone there as well. So the drivers won an extra race. So after Sebring, there will be a extra race on the end of that one. So, okay, so that's how it's going to work. That's what we're going to do. We're going to add it on. But for now, me and Zach Sweeney are going to go and have an early night for once here and get off early. We can only but apologise for that's everything that's happened, unfortunately, here as well. But the drivers are in agreement. They get to... Don't boo me, handsome Stu. Tell you what, this guy, can you sort him out on Thursday?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I can't.
You're just happy for him to boo me, aren't you?
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, Sween puppy. Oh.
Sween dog to him.
Yeah, Sween puppy is not well. Boo-hoo, says Phil.
Cheers, mate. Appreciate it.
Right, you beautiful people. I'm going to bow out. Yeah, this is going to be the end, guys, as well. Sorry for the short stream, but obviously with the issues we have all talked and they all going to add it on to the end. So much love to everybody that's jumped in. Zach's off to go and get a nice warm bath and get tucked in with a blanket and probably slippers and all that kind of thing to keep himself young puppy warm. I'm going to go and get a cup of coffee. So for now, guys, from me up here in the booth and Zach Sweeney, for now, you all take care. Have a great week. And you never know, we might see you on the track sometime. Good night.